Fang Yi's system analyzed the anomaly, revealing a new power, the inner flame, with an extremely high internal temperature and explosive properties, and the scarlet flame sword technique, which must be used with a drawn blade to unleash its true power. Each slash causes flames to roar, coating the blade with blazing fire and summoning lightning. When the sword gathers flames and is ignited by battle intent, it unleashes immense energy. Resolved, Fang Yi gripped his sword. He steadied his breath, calm and collected. His eyes and the blade glowed with fiery power, using the points to embed the internal flame attribute into the Tang sword, a perfect technique for it. It fit like it was made for him. Below, the other explorers, thrown back by a previous explosion, watched in amazement as Fang Yi stood unharmed in a vortex of fire, realizing his weapon was absorbing the lava's power. The realization stunned them, if only for a heartbeat. When the flames subsided, his teammates concluded he had suffered a small cultivation accident and had recovered. Relief washed over the group. The group was euphoric, noticing the cave's spiritual energy had stabilized. The air itself felt balanced. One of them celebrated being able to absorb it smoothly, while another, on the verge of beginning his cultivation path, excitedly shouted Xiao Ya's name. The blonde agent, Xiao Ya, encouraged them to train while she kept watch, and the team thanked her for the opportunity. The peace was interrupted when Xiao Ya detected other people approaching the entrance, warning that other pioneers were arriving. 3 muscular men entered, led by one with an eye patch and glowing red eyes, who arrogantly declared the resource-rich land was now theirs. Xiao Ya grew worried, her jaw tightening at once, recognizing all 3 newcomers were at the 1-star Ghost Axe realm, a level her team couldn't challenge. Despite the danger, Xiao Ya tried to reason with them, politely stating they had arrived first and even offering to let them join. Her diplomacy was met with contempt. Not even a pause. The eye patch-wearing leader mocked her low level and ordered them to get lost or face the consequences. Xiao Ya's expression hardened. She reflected on the harsh reality of survival of the fittest in this new era, where the weak pioneers don't deserve resources to grow stronger. But as a member of the Sha Nation Association, she couldn't stand by and do nothing. Just as the confrontation was about to escalate, Fang Yi stepped between Xiao Ya and the hostile leader. With his sword ignited, he coldly asked the large man if he had nothing better to do than bully a young woman. The eye patch-wearing leader was left stunned and speechless. Silence fell, sharp as a blade. Without hesitation, Fang Yi unleashed a single devastating swing that created a fiery explosion, sending the 3 aggressors flying. The force of the attack startled Fang Yi's own teammates from their meditation. The echo rattled the entire cave they were in. After giving them a warning attack from his sword, he remembered the tragedies caused by those who followed the survival of the fittest principle, knowing only overwhelming force would work on such people. To make his point, Fang Yi pulled his mighty flaming sword out of the ground and pointed it towards the 3 thugs. Surrounded by an immense golden aura, he coldly ordered them to scram. His tone left no room for debate. Terrified by this second display of power, the leader called Fang Yi a monster and screamed for his men to run as Fang Yi watched them flee. His teammates rushed over, buzzing with excitement over his incredible power. Their voices overlapped, breathless and bright. Fang Yi smiled, brushing it off and suggesting it was time to leave. No point lingering in this area as the spiritual energy seems depleted now. As they left, Xiao Ya wondered if the attack Fang Yi had landed on the thugs, would there be 3 burned bodies on the ground. Realizing he had held back and convinced he was a top-tier pioneer, she knew she had to report this major discovery to her organization immediately. It couldn't wait. The scene shifts to the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association office, where a woman on the phone with Xiao Ya repeated in surprise that another high-attribute pioneer had appeared. The news felt unreal. The office worker grew flustered, realizing she had said too much, especially with an imposing man standing behind her. His shadow stretched long. She awkwardly hung up after confirming the report. The young woman cheerfully asked her gray-haired superior if they were lucky enough to have 2 high-attribute pioneers in a row. He, however, grimly corrected her that luck had nothing to do with it, explaining that every high-attribute individual is destined to become a new center of power, one that always carries consequences, a responsibility that stressed him immensely, making him want to resign immediately. Under a sunny sky, Fang Yi returned to the city. He tried to disguise himself as a cosplayer, but his powerful presence and authentic sword only drew more attention. People stared at him despite his disguise. His walk was interrupted when he saw on his phone that news of the cave incident had already gone viral. The feeds were flooded. He scolded himself for his carelessness, knowing the eruption of his internal flame was too noticeable. Dismissing the idea that his teammates would betray him, he focused on a more urgent matter. The massive yang energy he had absorbed was pushing him toward a new breakthrough. Just one more cycle of the golden sun breathing technique and he might break through again. He needed to find a secluded place immediately and headed for the back mountain. He moved quickly, light on his feet. 5 minutes later on that same mountain, a silver-haired young woman named Su Qingying, a garden restoration expert, had finally fixed the area. But then she felt a sudden powerful presence. It rolled over her like a wave. She saw an intense burst of light like a miniature sun and recognized the signs of a cultivator breaking through to the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. The scale of the energy astounded her. She'd never imagined a breakthrough of that realm could be so monstrous. Truly unprecedented for her. Driven by a sense of duty and curiosity about who the person was breaking through, she raced toward the disturbance, vowing to catch the mysterious individual this time. This time, with no bubble tea craving to distract her, high on the mountain, Fang Yi was focused on his breakthrough. He pulled in huge amounts of golden energy, which spun around him before forming a bright, sun-like ball above his head. As he meditated in the air, the power behind him formed a complex, star-shaped divine shape, his arms moving so quick that it looked like he was the reincarnation of an Asura god. Golden energy sparked across his skin, and his eyes glowed with great power as he tried to control the wild energy. Finally, the power came together, taking the shape of a giant divine axe made of pure golden and light blue energy, crackling with power. Meanwhile, Su Qingying was running to where he was when she saw the amazing sight. She watched in total disbelief, seeing that the mysterious person was about to swing the divine axe he had just created. His level of control was incredible. She wondered how anyone could command so much spiritual energy with such perfect skill and steadiness, asking herself if this man had secretly been training for centuries. The sight brought back a painful memory. Su Qingying remembered her own attempt to break through to the Ghost Axe 2-star level. The pressure from her own divine axe had been too much for her, pushing back and making her cough up blood. It left her stuck in bed for a full week. Even someone like her, who was naturally strong, had still failed badly, making her wonder where such a monster like him came from. She couldn't understand how this monster could handle a breakthrough that was so much more powerful than hers. As she ran closer, she was even more amazed. The huge amount of spiritual energy, the perfect control in every move of the axe, and the way every bit of power seemed to have been purified thousands of times. It was all beyond anything she had ever seen. She decided that this person wasn't just an amazing monster. He was like a god who had come down from the heavens. She also noticed his calm and steady way of doing things. Most pioneers, when they felt a breakthrough was about to happen, would rush to get it done. This person, however, moved with a deep sense of experience and a strong mind, like a master from ancient times. Her thoughts were stopped when the giant, fiery divine axe began to move. She watched the awesome sight as it swung with a purpose, heading to the eastern direction. At the peak of his power, Fang Yi's eyes burned with pure golden light as cracks of raw energy spread across his entire body. He floated inside a blinding storm of golden power, successfully controlling the huge amount of energy he had gathered to evolve. A system window then appeared, officially confirming he had succeeded. He had reached the Ghost Axe Realm 2-star. The new divine axe slammed down into the earth, releasing all of its power in one huge shock wave that tore across the mountain. Su Qingying was caught in the powerful blast and had to hold herself steady against the wave of golden energy. The leftover force cut a huge path through the forest before fading away. But when she looked up, the mysterious man had completely disappeared. Breathing hard from the effort and her frustration, Su Qingying couldn't believe she had missed him again, especially since she had arrived in only 30 seconds. A worrying thought came to her. He must have known that she was tracking him. She worried that if he realizes that she had been tracking him, then her mission to recruit him would be impossible. Just as she was about to give up, she paused. A sudden idea hit her. She looked away from the path of destruction and toward a giant, old tree that was now glowing with a soft, leftover golden light. With a new feeling of certainty, she called out into the woods that seemed empty, calling him Senior, and asking if he was still in the area. From the shadows of the forest, Fang Yi appeared, his hooded body giving off a cool confidence. His glowing red eyes were on Su Qingying. He immediately knew she was the person who had been investigating him for the past few days. Seeing she had been found, Su Qingying stood her ground and properly introduced herself. She said she was the captain of the Firefly Squad, under the Spiritual Practitioners Association of Sha Nation, and also one of the nation's first pioneers. On behalf of the association, she sincerely invited him to join them. She admitted she had been following him for 2 days and hoped her methods hadn't made him think badly of her. As she spoke, Fang Yi stayed quiet, and his face was hard to read under his hood. Su Qingying added that while the public didn't know yet, all the official papers for the association were ready. Inside, however, she was very nervous, choosing her words carefully and worrying if she was bothering him or making the powerful man angry. She knew she had to sound soft and respectful. Her carefully planned speech was cut short by Fang Yi's simple, direct question. "Why should I join?" The direct question surprised her completely. She stuttered for a moment, panicking over what to say. She quickly saw that empty, nice words would be useless against someone so smart. The truth was her only choice. Pulling herself together, she explained what the association was for. She told him that the Sha Nation wanted to gather and unite all the early pioneers to guide them on an organized path and also give them extra protection. She knew that everyone was growing in a chaotic, uncontrolled way, and she knew that joining an association like theirs might seem restricting to someone like him. But she asked him to look at the bigger picture. A great return of spiritual energy was coming, and they would all need to stand together to face the unknown enemies of the future. After listening to her passionate speech, Fang Yi leaned casually against a tree, looking tired and uninterested. He told her plainly that he was not willing to join. He explained that for now, he still couldn't bring himself to fully trust her or the association she represented. Su Qingying was left completely embarrassed and speechless by his direct refusal, her eyes wide with shock. Facing his refusal, Su Qingying grew desperate. She quickly pulled out her identification card from her jacket, holding it up for him to see. She introduced herself again as Su Qingying and mentioned she used to be a well-known athlete before the spiritual energy returned. She begged him to believe her, hoping her public identity would give him a reason to trust her. Fang Yi paused and thought about her words. He touched his chin thoughtfully, saying that he now vaguely remembered her. His mind remembered a framed picture of her celebrating a victory as the runner-up in the Sha Nation's long-distance championship. He realized her natural athletic skill was what made her such a fast and good pioneer. However, his face then became hard. A dark memory from his previous life came to mind, showing a vision of a ruined city. He knew that in his original timeline, the Sha Nation's work, including the association, had failed in the end, and all of humanity became extinct. Now that he had returned with his system, he knew he had to be part of the solution. But joining the association at this point was not the right move. Putting on a more thoughtful look, he looked back at a hopeful Su Qingying and confirmed that he did remember her. He told her he would think about her offer, and before she could answer, he jumped into the air and sped away from the spot. Just as quickly, he reappeared right behind a startled Su Qingying. He gave her a firm condition. She must keep his location a secret from everyone for now. In his mind, he studied her respectful behavior and guessed that the association was careful about upsetting powerful pioneers who weren't with them. He saw this as a weakness he could use. Su Qingying suggested a deal. She explained that the association had detected the energy from his breakthrough and that she had to file a report. She suggested sending a report that was a mix of truth and lies to protect his identity while keeping her bosses happy because the associate had noticed the visible changes after his breakthroughs. After a moment of thought, Fang Yi agreed to her plan. Su Qingying tried to call out to Fang Yi as he agreed to her plan, but in the blink of an eye, he was gone. She ran down the mountain slope after him, but it was no use. Tired and annoyed, she walked alone on a forest path, muttering in frustration about how many times she had failed to catch him, and how he was now trying to avoid her. She sighed, complaining about the tiring work of erasing the powerful energy signs he left behind after every incident. Her thoughts were cut short by a voice in her earpiece, telling her to stop worrying about the hard-to-find pioneer and remember the mission she was on. The voice seriously told her that the anomalous entities had appeared again. Su Qingying froze, her eyes wide with shock as she asked if they were really back. A scary memory flooded her mind, showing her surrounded by a crowd of terrifying wolf-like creatures with bloody mouths and glowing red eyes. She thought to herself that she would never forget those strange, bloody beasts. The story explained what they were: cold, evil, and bloodthirsty monsters. They draw energy from the pollution zones born after the return of spiritual energy. Some turned into twisted monsters that devoured humans. Some could even hide as unnatural disasters, killing without end, dividing territories amongst themselves and eventually creating new pollution zones. If they weren't stopped, their very destructive nature would let them keep eating the human world until nothing was left. A heavy storm suddenly hit the city. The night sky wasn't lit by streetlights, but by constant, violent flashes of lightning. Rain poured down, and red alerts lit up people's phones, warning of the severe thunderstorm and telling everyone to stay inside. Another alert announced that the Yuhuang mountain area was closed because of flooding risks. From their windows, people commented they hadn't seen a storm this bad in years, with some joking that a powerful being might be facing a lightning trial nearby. Hidden in a rainy alley, Fang Yi watched the storm grimly, his red eye glowing. He could feel the huge amount of lightning energy in the air, majesty, awe, and wild fury. Recognizing its wild power, he knew this was no ordinary storm, but another anomaly. With its power focused on a single point, his eyes scanned past the city buildings and locked onto a distant mountain peak that was being hit by lightning again and again. He had found the center of the storm. Without hesitating, Fang Yi raced into the downpour, leaping across rooftops as he sped toward the mountain. When Fang Yi reached the base of Yuhuang Mountain, his system immediately confirmed a pollution zone was detected. Huang Mountain stands at 1,545 meters tall and spans 25,000 hectares. It is one of the city's most prominent tourist attractions. He looked up at the peak, but instead of its usual beauty, he saw a grim scene with skeletal remains scattered among twisted trees. Another system notice added to the danger, stating the pollution level was unknown. Still, Fang Yi moved forward without hesitating, walking into the dark, stormy woods with a determined look as lightning struck him.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.